Hello everyone. Yeah, this is something completely different. You can see me down here in the bottom left. What I'm doing today is, well, yeah, something really different. Oh, geez, I just repeated that. Starting off terribly on this video. Sorry. So I recorded this painting that I did back in November. Actually, the picture was taken in October. I'm going to go ahead and play it. You can see the drawing, how I started out the drawing there. But this video is just going to be about me talking about this painting and why I did it, what I used, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so let's go for it. So the materials here I'm using that's a Strathmore oil paper, and I drew on it with graphite, and then I covered it with a clear gloss medium called GAC 100 by Golden. Man, this is only a 4-minute video. It's actually, I think 3 hours to actually paint this painting, and I squished it all the way down to just a really fast time lapse. I wanted to do something really quick and small, just a quick video. But Strathmore oil paper, but then I coated it with something. The reason why I do that is because you can paint directly on those Strathmore or these oil papers, but they soak in the oil tremendously. And if you really like that, actually you can get some good effects out of it. I didn't like it so much, so I covered it with the GAC 100 by Golden. Makes it a lot smoother and easier to paint on. It doesn't soak up the oil as much. One of the things that you'll notice right there on the left side of the painting itself, or at least the border around it, I have some notes. And usually when I'm drawing, when I'm looking at the photo and I'm drawing from it, I'll make some notes of what I want to achieve during the painting. And them being right on the painting surface, or at least right next to it, is super helpful. So if you have a canvas or whatever you're working on, that kind of thing, oh, that was cool. I showed a little bit of the color chart really quickly. At this point, I was talking about some things while I was recording this video. But this is a good part for me to talk about the palette that I'm using. So I'm using a Zorn palette, and I used it for months, which is ivory black, titanium white, cadmium red, and yellow ochre. Just those 4 colors, that's it. And before I started with this Zorn palette, Z-O-R-N, you can search it on the internet and you'll see everything about it. Anders Zorn was the artist that really created this palette. Tons of people are using it, or have been using it for decades and decades. But before I started with that palette, I did this color chart of it to really exhaust the majority of colors that I could get from this palette, and then analyze it so I could see what I could achieve with it. And what's really nice about the Zorn palette is there's a tremendous amount of flesh tones that you can get out of it. But where you're lacking, and you can see this if you look at it, there's no blue. Your blue on this palette, or for this palette, is gray, so ivory black and white. And ivory black is a warm black color, so it's not even a cool blue. It's just really a warm gray that you can get. Of course, it cools off when you add titanium white to it. But if you're using this palette, or want to use this palette to paint landscapes, you're going to be, you won't be able to achieve those really bright blue skies, nor will you be able to achieve those crazy greens. So you can see that there's no green in this palette at all. But what's wonderful about it is how kind of together this palette is. It's almost like you can't really break it. Like, have you ever seen paintings where everything is very tonal in quality, and then all of a sudden they'll add in like some super saturated color, which could look good in some instances, but for a lot of times it's really off. It's like it's like a bad note in a music symphony or something like that, that the color just doesn't match. You have this gamut of color that's part of the color wheel that works really well. Everything is nice and harmonious together, and that's what the Zorn palette is. It's very harmonious. And that's why I really like it. It's harmonious from the beginning, and it's hard to really screw it up and add in like those bad notes of colors in some places. But you have to be okay with its limitations. You have to kind of embrace, not kind of, you have to embrace its limitations. Other colors you can't get with this is a really crazy purple. Can't really get a lot of purples. I mean, there's a lot of purples in there on that color chart, but they're subdued. Everything is really subdued. The brightest, most intense color you can get is cadmium red right out of the tube. And that's kind of like your accent color, right? And it's not really used that often. Lots of mixing with this palette, but you'll learn a ton about color because of it. And it's fantastic. I mean, I could go back to the Zorn palette anytime. Speaking of physical palette that I'm using here is the U.Go, so U.go pochade box. And if you search that on Google, you'll see it's the medium size. And the size of the painting is small. I think this is like 5x8. Here's the finished painting right here. You can see how small it is. Like it's just size of my hand that I'm working with. And I did a whole series of like, I don't know, 40 or 60 of these little small paintings, and they were all based on photographs that I took or we took in day-to-day life, just selfie snapshots. And actually this painting is called Selfie Us. Let me pause this. Actually, I went from, this was the first day I was working right here, and then this transitions over into the second day. Yeah, and so this I painted this over 3 days basically. So you can see like the lighting's a little bit different on the third day. But I want to show you the image. Let me just turn it on real quick here. So this is the image I'm working from, and you can see, let me move it a little bit. You can see I cropped it because there was the background is there, all the sky, the mountains and things like that. And here I am chewing on Patty's head for some reason because I'm a weirdo, right? And look at all of these intense colors in this picture. Like the glasses have crazy greens and purples. The sky is really bright blue. There's even more intensity in the skin tones, things like that. But I decided, not to do that. It's the Zorn palette, so everything is really subdued. And I composed it much differently than the photo was originally. So that's kind of what you get with the Zorn palette. But what's interesting about it is, I was talking with a friend of mine who studied with Richard Schmid. If you know Richard Schmid at all, was an amazing artist, did the book Alla Prima too. And she said he never worried about likeness on an individual. And you know what? I was thinking that's fine because every single painting I've seen of his is just absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. I don't care if it looked like the sitter or not. Same with John Singer Sargent. Like he made everybody look like a frickin' model and the paintings were absolutely beautiful. Like we don't have, if you're doing a painting and you're showing it, the people looking at it don't have the reference. They're not sitting there going, oh, this is the photo you worked from, and this is the painting itself. And then, checking off marks or something and giving you bad scores because it doesn't look exactly like the photo or it doesn't look exactly like the person. I think, what's most important is that you communicate what you want and you make a good painting, whatever you feel is good. It's up to you to define that. I can't define it for you. No one can. That's why I hate kind of using those words good and bad, because it's really dependent on, who is actually viewing it. And it's subjective, so it's meaningless in most cases. But anyway, I digress. Let's keep going through the video. So it really doesn't matter that it looks like the photo or not. I don't really care most of the time if I drew that correctly. Obviously, if the drawing is so off that it doesn't look like a person, that could be a problem, for me. Now, other materials I'm using here, all the paints that I'm using. These were like Winsor Newton student grade paints. All of them, all four of them, and they work perfectly. I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, you could get even more subdued colors. The mixing strength of all of them are pretty close together, except the cadmium red was a little bit higher mixing strength, so that could be kind of an issue. One thing that I love, and you can see right here, the brush that I'm using, I went to, of all places, Joann Fabric, which just went out of business, by the way. And I just went recently and bought a bunch more. These are super cheap brushes, like Art Smith brushes. I think I got a pack, the brushes I'm using in the video, of 50 brushes for $12. I mean, do the math on how many, how much it costs for each of those brushes. They're super, super cheap. Lots of flats, lots of rounds, lots of everything. Although I will say, there's all the noise. Sorry about that. The palette knives in here, the plastic palette knives, are absolute crap. I mean, they're probably good for something, but I haven't figured out what. I mean, for just scraping the crap out of something, I don't know. But if you could probably figure out something good for them, but I haven't yet. But I don't like the palette knives. But the brushes are great. You don't need super expensive brushes to make good paintings. Good paintings, right? So let's continue on. So I think that's all the materials I'm using. You can see I was working on white paper, so the palette that the paint is on top of is white. In a previous video, I was talking about how I make panels for these paintings. And this is the little panel I made for it. I really love these little panels that I make. Oh, here's the next day. You can see how the palette got clean. So 3 days in a row on this. And now what I wanted to achieve with this painting, and it's written on the side, it says, "We are one, melded, blended, one," something like one person, basically. And I wanted to focus on brushwork. I wanted, because I was studying with Greg Manchess at this point. Greg Manchess, amazing artist, just absolutely fantastic. His brushwork is crazy good. And I was really pushing myself to be expressive with the brushwork. And the other thing I was seeing as I was painting this is how a lot of the tones and values and even colors, even between Patty and myself, were pretty similar. And so I pushed that even further. So if the value was any close to, like, for instance, let me pause it here, her hair, right under my glasses in the back there, there's a shadow cast under my sunglasses, and it kind of matches with the hair. And then there's parts of my beard that hits her ear that kind of is close in value. Where my neck is in shadow and like the back of her neck, all these are all blended together and within similar brush strokes, and I've really soften those out. And I go further into soften those out as I work into, trying to get a lot of these shapes looking, similar to the photo in a lot of places. I mean, look at the shoulder, like my shoulder, because I was wearing a white sweatshirt. She had a gray sweatshirt that was in white, and I just blended those two together. You can see it here on the finished painting. It looks like just one shoulder, right? Just all together. Oops, and that's done. So let me fast forward to the end again, so you can see the done. Pause. Perfect, right at 1 second. So that's the finished painting right there. A lot of blending in, a lot of brush strokes and things that are all together. And I guess I could go on my website real quick. Let me show this. Just go here. By the way, all of my paintings are for sale on my website. So if you're interested in buying my work, sales plug here. Warning, oh my gosh, I'm talking about selling my artwork. I know how people would get really upset about that, but you know what? I'm an artist, right? I would like to sell paintings. So if you're really upset about that, then oh well, I'm sorry. Oh, here it is right here, Selfie Us. Only $75. These little small paintings I don't sell for much, and oh my goodness. The picture here is huge, but that's great. You can really see the detail in it. How expressive I got with a lot of the brushstrokes here, and how I blended in, especially right here. I wonder if you could see my mouse. You probably can't. So right where the shadow cast from my sunglasses meets her hair, even the sunglasses and her hair kind of blends together, especially the neck and the shoulders. I mean, we're like one person. I mean, it's almost like I'm walking up behind her and just into her, which is sound kind of weird. Sorry about that. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, that's the painting. If you have any questions or, you know, whatever, I don't know why you would have any questions. Anyway, put it on YouTube. I try to answer a lot of the questions, but yeah, just a different form video, real quick. Actually, that wasn't real quick. That was like 15 minutes. Man, it feels like it was like only 5. I talk way too much. Anyway, hope you liked it. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.